Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at our Marketing Guru panel at Fireside Chat. Today is the day to ask all of your marketing questions. We're going to introduce everybody that's on the panelists here today, and we're really excited to get started. So first and foremost, my name is Miranda. I'm here with my co-host, Joanne Newborn. We are Fortune coaches, and we're going to be talking and facilitating this panel today. It's going to be very conversational, and we really want to pick their brains on all things marketing as far as new trends that are coming on, what you should know about when it comes to your dental website, and even things social media. So this is going to be certainly a jam-packed 60 minutes. And starting off, I'd love to introduce to you our panelists. I have from Now Media Group, Mark Romano. He is the co-founder and co-owner of Now Media Group, a San Diego-based marketing firm that specializes in web design, social media, advertising, and content curation to promote dental practice growth. With over a decade of experience in the dental marketing industry, Mark has positioned his firm as a dependable business and partner for dentists, and has served more than 750 clients in the US and multiple countries worldwide. Now Media itself was founded in 2009. Since then, it has grown into a wonderful and highly talented team of designers, content writers, and marketing specialists. Our passion for you and your business, as they say, is what defines Now Media Group as a company and as a team. And then you can count on their dedication to providing your business the tools it needs to build a strong, lasting, and trusted digital footprint.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome, Mark.
Yes. Thank you. It's great to be here.
I'd love to hand it over to Joanne to introduce some of the other panelists.
You bet. I am going to introduce Jenna Rosen. If you're wondering why you can't see her, she's on her way to someplace very exotic. So she will be here vocally for us. She started in the marketing industry at Stadium Red Life, creating press releases for multiple hospitality event and small size brands, working on their social media strategy and planning, as well as helping with creative design. And after 2 years, she was hired as a marketing manager for one of the largest hospitality groups, the One Group, where she ran social, creative, and digital marketing for all US properties. And leaving and entering the world of media, she was offered an experience she couldn't refuse, opening Time Out Market in New York City as the events and marketing manager. And all the while, she had Jenna Connects running on the side, and the pandemic helped to catapult the company's growth. So if you want to learn a little bit about Jenna Connects, Jen is actually an accomplished marketer, storyteller, and manager, and she's grown multiple brands and businesses throughout her career. And Jenna and her team work with small to medium-sized brands to help focus on all forms of marketing, business development, and revenue growth. So welcome, Jenna.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I'd also like to welcome Bobby Jack. And he is a senior sales director at Patient Pop, and he consults with healthcare practices of all sizes and executive teams in the tech space to fuse and fuel strategic partnerships. And Patient Pop is the market leader in practice growth technology. So welcome, Bobby Jack.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. And I can introduce both of us a little bit more. So my name is Miranda Brooks. My background with Fortune is that I'm also a registered dental hygienist. So I am an executive coach and focus all on aspects of the dental practice team. I mean, we do marketing, which is why Joanne and I are here. We're on our marketing team, even internally with Fortune Management, and love to provide this topic to our clients. And that's why we're doing it for you guys today. And we also practice management, business strategy. We cover everything. Joanne, you want to say a little bit more about you and your experience?
Yeah, I have a really interesting, diverse background. I came from the corporate business world. I've been in marketing for over 15 years in the alcohol beverage industry, which is a lot of fun. Also had a lot of events under my belt as well, being in that industry. And I am an executive coach with Fortune Management, and I sort of use a blend. I call it business and woo-woo. So my certification focused on Carl Jung theories and psychology and also Eastern philosophy. So I really like to blend the hardcore business with the woo-woo. So that's a little bit about me.
Love the woo-woo. It's great. All about positive psychology up in there. So I'd love to kick off this panelist discussion with a very important question for Mark.
Yes.
How do you take your pizza?
My pizza?
Yes.
Typically it's cheese or just plain cheese and pepperoni.
Oh, great. God, excellent. Pepperoni pizza. Total
Yeah.
New Yorker size pizza. That's great. I love it. I love it.
That's how we roll. That pleases pretty much everyone in our house.
Wonderful. All right, down to business. So I do have a question for you that I think that a lot of people on here would really want to know.
Sure.
In regards to their business, you know, we're all online these days, which is really important to have that presence. And but how important is the new Google mobile search algorithm? That is something that we've advised our own clients to kind of take note of and make sure that they are getting these updates. So how important is that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Based on the literature and based on what we've studied and what we know, I mean, Google plans to update their algorithm this year in 2021 to include a factor called page experience. So that's going to send search signals such as mobile friendliness, safe browsing, secure websites, and basically it's going to do with the site's loading speeds, interactivity, visual stability. So what it means for site owners is we need to understand these signals and make necessary changes. Those are a priority. All of these things will ultimately impact how you rank on Google mobile search. And those results, when people are doing searches on their cell phones, obviously you want to be as high up on that list as possible. For people that are putting in their geographic location or just typing in things like local dentist or dentist near me, things as such. So it's ever changing. Mobile was a big factor several years ago. Security, speed, and all of these things are coming into this one page experience update here. So certainly something to monitor and look forward to, or and make changes and be prepared for. So.
Would you consider it essential?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If I'm an older dentist, I'm going to give you a scenario. My website was built back in 2003. I think it looks pretty good.
Right. Well,
it was before we had, you know, all of those heavy duty iPhones. So what's going to happen if I absolutely do nothing?
Well, it may look nice, but you certainly looking nice and having no one able to find it is two different stories altogether. So if you want to get found on mobile search, which accounts for 80% of the people that are looking you up online, this is certainly something to pay attention to and to implement. 100%.
Wow, that doesn't surprise me. 80% of people are looking at your website online on the cell phone. Does anybody have anything to add? Thank you for that. Anybody want to jump in on that? Mark killed it. Okay, he got all that information. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to pass it to Joanne. Joanne, I think I asked Mark about 3 questions within that one question, so I'm going to pass it to you.
Yeah. I mean, while we're talking about Google, I want to ask Bobby Jack, aside from Google and Yelp, what are the top online platforms that practices need to be present on? Because we hear Google and Yelp mostly, but what else is really important?
I would think Instagram, depending upon the types of procedures you're offering in. If your practice is primarily HMO patients and you just want to see general cleanings, social media probably isn't as prevalent. But if you want to be a driver for Invisalign, teeth whitening, veneers, if you do correctly, Invisalign's Instagram provides a huge return on your investment. Not so much Facebook, because when patients search in healthcare, there's typically an issue wrong with them, like their back hurts, they want a doctor now. It's not genes stalking them through Facebook or a Google page. For cosmetic procedures, I would say Instagram is very prevalent. Google for me is number 1 in terms of healthcare. I think Yelp is dying down and losing a lot of credibility year after year with doctors, especially after the Supreme Court ruled in the favor over patients over providers 2 or 3 years ago, so that Miranda could write a review or yourself about any doctor anywhere in the country, even if you didn't see them, and they can't do anything about it. So I think Google is the number one driver for healthcare providers, and social media done correctly is becoming an extremely valuable piece of practice.
Great. So since you mentioned Instagram, I'm going to throw it over to Jenna, who's kind of our Instagram guru. And so using Instagram, how do you help a business grow?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and, all these social media outlets, what's best is really showing amazing content quality, and also showing, your office space, showing your team, and making it so, the patient before they're coming to you, or, the patient that's been coming to you for years, that they're continuing to know where they're going and they are happy and satisfied with, what content you're putting out. Also, making sure your content is up to date with before and after. It's for teeth whitening or, for any type of dentistry care, showing before and afters is huge, especially for new patients that are interested in coming to your practice. So, continuing to update your content weekly, always posting on your Instagram stories, to showcase what's going on that week or that month at your practice. Even if it's someone's birthday at your practice and you want to celebrate it on social media, it's really fun for patients and potential patients to see, what's going on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, at your practice. So continuing to, stay relevant on Instagram, always keeping up with your content, making sure, it's on brand for you and for your business. Is also very important. Using the right brand voice and language is another, very important tactic that I like to tell my clients, and that I do for my clients, which is really, curate this very passionate brand voice behind each dentist. So, those are kind of like the top line overall things that I would say you'll need if you want to be successful on social media, as a dentist office or practice.
I just had a quick follow-up to that. So you mentioned Instagram stories, and I'm curious as to why that is so effective versus posting on Instagram.
So I think that they both go hand in hand. And another thing that I forgot to mention is, the algorithm is rapidly changing on Instagram and now is picking up more video reels. So very similar to TikTok, Instagram built in something called Instagram Reels. Those are like 15 to 30-second little videos that incorporate, what's going on a weekly basis at your practice, or really for anyone's business. But they're all equally important, and they all make, your engagement a little bit higher on social media. Another thing, like what Mark was saying before about SEO, Instagram actually also has SEO built in, not through Google, but through like Facebook. So if you're looking up dentists and you're in, the financial district, hopefully, my client, Wall Street Dental Spa, is going to come up because it's a local dentist in and out of that area. So you'll eventually start to see, if you're in that area for long enough, maybe a couple of hours, you'll start to see some reels come up from Wall Street Dental. If you're typing in dentist near me on Instagram, hopefully you'll see Wall Street Dental come up. So there's that SEO impact as well, which, brings your reels and your Instagram stories and your Instagram grid to light. So like you mentioned before, I do think that they're all super impactful, and they all kind of go hand in hand to each other.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to stay on the Instagram road for a little bit, and because it sounds like a lot of work, Jenna. I mean, I know we have dentists on here.
It's a full-time job.
Man, I don't even know what a reel is. What is this algorithm? Like, why does Instagram matter? So with that being said, it is part of your job. So to give it, but with the other side of it, I believe some offices do truly believe they can do 100% their own social media. Can you speak a little bit more on how realistic it is to get the sort of engagement that you want if they were to do it all by themselves, or if they were to hire a company?
Sure. So, I mean, the dentists that I've worked with, they are, super grateful that I've come in to work with them, because they they don't have time to spend on really navigating social media. They might have time to spend, you know, when they get home at night and post a quick photo, but they don't have time to spend on, you know, on creating content, you know, building out graphic design templates, you know, building out different specials that they have going on, you know, whether it's a whitening special or whatever is going on at the office at the time. They don't have the time to really create the content and make it look pretty. It's the best way I can put it. And they don't really know all the ins and outs of social media. And so that's why, you know, a lot of dentists are interested in hiring someone like me to kind of come in, kickstart it for a few months. If it keeps going well and, you know, they have the budget, you know, to continue to work with me, then it's pretty, you know, I would say it's a pretty positive thing that they have me continuously, you know, posting for them and creating this content. Other dentists are obviously a little bit skeptical and they're like, you know, I don't want to spend the money on this. I'm doing just fine, you know, with the way things are going now. But, you know, in order to really showcase your practice and make it look the way, you know, it's like anything, right? It's like flossing, right? It's like if you don't floss, you know, your teeth aren't going to look as great every day and you're going to build up plaque. And if you do floss, you're going to continuously, you know, keep good dental hygiene. So it kind of goes for social media too. Like if you just kind of let it sit there and you don't floss and you don't post, you know, it's not going to look, your practice isn't going to look its best. If you floss and you are continuously posting and making sure your engagement's strong, you're most likely going to get new business, new patients, and you're most likely going to get looked at as, you know, one of the most, I guess, aesthetically pleasing dentists in New York or all, you know, across the nation.
Absolutely. I love what you said about that, about needing to stay current, because I'm putting my fortune hat on for a second. As a coach, we need just patient reviews need to be very current. Wouldn't we agree, panelists, that you can't have a patient review from 4 months ago? That's not going to look good as your latest review. But something too for the doctors that may be on the fence about wondering if they should invest in a marketing manager or even create a division internally within their practice is that not only are you trying to recruit new patients, your presence on social media also recruits new staff members. Think of the population that is coming in to work with you, the hygienists, the dental assistants, definitely as they start graduating from school, these new grads that need to be pumping into the system. So if they know this stuff, guys, they know that they need to look at a website and check your social media. Do you even have a social media? Does your job listing even look fun and interesting, like you actually tried, you know, to put some photos up? So not only is it to recruit new patients, but think about the staff and the type of staff that you want to recruit. Is this going to be a fun place to work? So I just want to add that little tidbit in there. Awesome. Does anyone want to add anything? We can talk about Instagram for days, and I'm sure it may circle back. But does anyone, based on that conversation, want to add in before we segue to something slightly different?
Yeah, and if you have questions anywhere along the line, just put them in the chat, and Miranda and I are looking at the chat, so we'll ask the panelists the questions as they come up, and you'll have time at the end to do some live Q&A as well.
Anna did a great job answering that question, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I know.
Yeah.
You want to add something else to that, Mark?
I mean, she basically, I tell this to all my clients. I mean, it's got to be somewhat of a partnership. It's easy to hire someone like me to post on your behalf, but what kind of content could it be? For the most part, it's going to be generic yet relevant, maybe interesting information about dentistry, but people really want to see what's going on in that office. They want to get an idea of what the practice culture is, what the office looks like. Before and after photos are really important. So I tell my clients, give me an inch, I'll try to stretch it to a mile for you. So send me some before and after photos. Let me know what your patient specials are. Take your iPhone and shoot a little video testimonial. Nothing too crazy, but if you send it over to us, we can get it out there for you. We can post it, we can write content, we can get it out there, we can formulate proper hashtags and geotags and things like that. So it is certainly, there is some involvement on the end of the practice, but we can handle most of it. Yeah, and there's a lot of dividends and a lot of reward to doing it, because, you know, you're right, even perspective, and a lot of my clients are dealing with, I can't find good help right now. So putting your best foot forward, not just for the patients, but for prospective staff members is equally important. So
Yeah, that's a really big challenge right now. And I would say, especially in the dental industry, it's a challenge in a lot of industries, but seriously in the dental industry. So that's a good point, Miranda.
Yeah, how are you going to stand out, dentist? How are you going to stand out and be like, I have the best office ever? They've got a lot to choose from. There's a lot of jobs out there and not a whole lot of hirees. So it's about stepping up and leveling up your game. And it's a great way to do that on Instagram and Facebook and all the things. But speaking of some things that Jenna also mentioned was about if you're going to have a whitening special or you're going to have some sort of promotion, to me, that all reads ads, right? This question on ads, because ads mean we got to pay out some money to pump some ads out. So Mark, this question is for you. And the question is, should I be doing Google ads? Are they worth it? Or should I be doing ads somewhere else? What's the deal?
Well, we manage a lot of Google AdWords for our customers. I never recommend it to be your sole strategy for new patient acquisition, but it certainly should be something that you can use to either fill in some blanks or some gaps in your organic and local presence, or really target a specific type of patient. So we work with a lot of implant practices. So these are practices that will spend money on Google to advertise for, missing teeth, loose dentures, full arch reconstructions, things like that. If you're running an Invisalign special for 60 days and you're offering some type of incentive, that's a really good way to increase the amount of traffic and bring awareness for your special. I love Google Ads because we can play with all the variables, right? I mean, we can target who, we can target what, we can target where, I can target specific zip codes, demographics, income levels, and really just hone in on the exact type of traffic that I'm looking for. And everyone knows their market really well, and they know which zip codes they ideally like to draw from. And Google allows us to play with all those parameters and all those variables. Right, so just launching an ad and having people click on it is certainly the first step, but you want to make sure you direct that traffic to things that are going to convert. So having a proper landing page that's going to properly explain the procedure, show what it can do for you, maybe give some examples of some other patients that you've treated in the form of before and after photos or patient testimonials. All of these things are important to funnel that user down that path. But I mean, the ROI potential with Google Ads is tremendous. So we've got a lot of case studies that we can present to people to show them, clients from coast to coast. I mean, I've got clients all over the country that are using it with a very high degree of success. So it should be part of your tool belt in your marketing. Facebook ads, Instagram ads, same. There are tools that we can do to promote you on those platforms as well. But it certainly is recommended to my clients, and most of them are on board with it. So
if only we could just start pumping out like targeting certain insurance, right? Because I think that's what a lot of the dentists are like. I take these 3 insurances. Can we just market to these 3 people?
You can. People do search that way. People search dentist that takes, MetLife near me, or dentist that accepts United Concordia, right? So if Google doesn't understand that you accept that, right, they're not going to recommend you as one of those options. So you've got to do more than just having it on the financial tab on your website that says these are the insurances that you take. You can put that information into a Google ad. You can put that information into your Google My Business listing, right? Your local listing that has got your practice information that shows up on Google Maps. So all of these things have got to be put in the appropriate places. But yes, that is correct. That is how people do search, because they don't want to waste their time sifting through websites. They want to go right to that list of dentists that they know that they can work with, or if they're fee for service, it's a different story. But yes. I agree with you on that completely. And
I find that the next best thing, if it's not searching Google with those words, Aetna takes Aetna, whatever it is, it's then Aetna says, go to our website and check out all the providers, but it's like outdated. And then now that provider no longer takes that insurance, and you've learned the hard way of figuring that out later, or it takes a while. So I know that that's a big thing on the patient behalf, and just to make it as easy as they can to find you. So these are things that maybe we may not think about. Yes, making it easy is paramount for people, because they've got a short attention span as they're doing searches online. You've got to capture them and do what you can for them to click to call in or fill out that contact form. It's competitive everywhere these days. So these are the things that you can do to stand out, from your competition. Absolutely. I see Bobby Jack over there nodding his head earlier. Did you have anything to add with Google Ads?
For me, the biggest difference between practices being successful or not is your front office staff. There's a huge, they need to have a talk track. They need to know how to answer those calls specifically. Otherwise, it's you burn through money real fast. I know practices that have spent $10,000 quarter after quarter and then cut it off and have said, I will never do marketing again. There's practices that spend $10,000 a month and it's their fee for service, high-end practices. And the difference is they know how to answer those calls and get the patients in the chair.
So
Yeah.
some good front office training, I think, some good language, phone skills.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everyone,
Yeah,
I think,
and-
needs to be
But
brushed
not to plug us, but that is one thing that we do at Fortune is we, help dentists and dental practices with those scripts that are really like, they're just somehow, you tweak a word here, you change a word here, we change the verbiage a little bit, and it goes from the same thing that everybody hears every single day that the patient expects to hear when they pick up the phone to something that like is an interrupter. And they're like, what? And what? That's so cool. Like, just something fun, and then start to build that rapport with the person on the
Mhm.
other end of the phone. It's not just a patient, it's someone that you could be friends with and start to like build that. So I just wanted to throw that in there as long as you brought it up.
Couldn't agree more, Joanne. Couldn't agree more. And it's important that just like how difficult it is to find good staff, some of your staff's going to pick this phone skill up really easily. And then there are others that struggle with it a little bit more. Their behavior style is not one that's super bubbly and has that language. So it's important to invest the time. And I still think it's considered marketing. I mean, they're the face of your office or the first voice of the office that they hear on the phone. We do that. We'll do mystery calls from time to time on behalf of our Fortune clients, just to make sure that the standard is still high and that everything is going as smoothly as possible. So that's a form of internal marketing itself. We're talking about external marketing, but internal marketing is just as important, right? Joanne, do you have an additional question for Bobby?
I do. So I'm going to take a little bit of a left turn here, but I think that this is so interesting. So, Bobby, you have said this before that most dentists have no idea that they can get sued due to the American Disabilities Act and compliance issues with their website. So, how important is it? And can you expand on this? Because it just feels really important, especially in the world and the landscape that we're living in right now.
So a lot of doctors think they need an ADA compliant website and they're open to lawsuits when it's preferred, but it's not a law. There's actually a lot of scams going around there from smaller marketing companies or fear mongers, where you'll see a doctor choose a inferior company just because they have the ADA compliant on their little website because they've been heard a rumor or this, when that's just not the fact. I mean, if it was 100% law, Patient Pop has $150 million into it, that would be a hard right turn for us to make sure that we're 100% compliant, just like every employee here takes the HIPAA compliancy test every single year. It's not a law that they have to worry about at all.
Okay. And so when it is compliant, what does that mean versus when it's not compliant? Just so people understand it a little bit better.
The ADA, it's just in terms of that the website's accessible for disabilities, basically.
The website, not the practice.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Okay, interesting.
It's something that probably popped up not only over dental, but medical doctors kept asking for because how rumors get started, like a telephone game. Oh, Dr. Jones told me that this person told me it's a law and so forth. And everyone thinks like, oh, they don't want to be sued or this or that. And it's like the guy that would go around to the restaurants that didn't have a wheelchair ramp, right? And be like, hey, give me $1,000, otherwise I'm going to sue you, right? It's not something that they have to worry about.
Okay.
We would be the first one to notify them.
Okay.
Take action.
Mark, was there anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, I agree. We've done quite a bit of homework on that as well, because we keep getting calls about it. And there is a lot of fear mongering out there, and people that are targeting these websites and sending letters saying you're not ADA compliant. But no, I think Bobby covered it very well.
Great.
There's I believe there's a website checking tool. I'll try to find the link and I'll send it over to you, Miranda, so that maybe you can email it out, that people can use to make sure that it's in accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. I actually had someone email me about it earlier today, so I'll send it out to you.
So it's pretty relevant. It's definitely something I've been seeing a lot more of, that language going around, and it's interesting. It's nice to have some clarification on that for sure.
Yeah, I'll get that to you.
Definitely. Well, Jenna's been kind of quiet, so I thought it would be nice to throw a question her way. So we talked a little bit about content, but you, as your company, Jenna Connects, how do you create content for offices?
Sure. So I have an in-house graphic designer who works with me on very specific clients. So typically for dental practices, I actually do everything on Canva or this other app called Insta Stories. Both are very, very easy to use. And if you are a dentist that, can't afford, or you're not interested in hiring someone like a social media or marketing consultant, you can easily download any of these apps and just pay for them for the year. And you're able to kind of just create really cool custom templates on them. So anytime you have anything that you want to push out, like a promotion, anything that involves marketing at all, or maybe it's just like a fun fact or a quote, you can do it in Canva or Insta Stories or Unfold. I mean, there's tons of them. So it's, user friendly and pretty fun to do.
You had mentioned before about branding and branding for different dental practices. How do you work with a dental practice to figure out what their branding should be like? Do you take it from their existing website? Is it something that you recreate? Mm-hmm.
So, it really depends on, who the dentist is. And like some of them are super proud of the logo and of the design and of the color palette and of the fonts that they chose back when they first opened. It's not really my job to convince them otherwise. I make suggestions on, how we can make it look better, how we can kind of, tweak the logo or the colors a little bit to make it a little bit more, I guess, millennial in a way, or classic. And, it really depends on who the dentist is. But typically, if they say to me, I'd like to rebrand, I'm thinking, I want to do something different, then, we could present them with like a slew of options, and then kind of go with, which color palette they like, and, start working kind of from the ground up.
Great. Mark or Bobby Jack, do you want to weigh in on any of that too, since the branding probably starts with the website development?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the questions I had provided was website design trends these days. So we can talk about that if you guys.
Yeah, that's a great segue. That's a great segue.
So
what are the trends, Mark? What's hip these days?
We do everything. All of our designs are custom based. So I have several in-house graphic designers, and they'll work one-on-one with our customers to create designs that are one-offs. So it's a complete from scratch along with all of our content. But our clients are asking for clean, modern, obviously mobile friendly. And from a technical standpoint, they've got to be secure and they've got to be fast. But, bright colors. People are moving away from the darks, that we've seen in years past. Attractive features. People don't want stock photography on their websites anymore, so they're taking the extra time and spending that one afternoon to have a photographer come in and take photos of the office and the facilities and the staff and the doctors and things like that. It makes for such a better website when we have custom photos on there. Video content, same thing. People want and they expect to see some type of video highlighting the procedure or video testimonials. So that's certainly important. Where we are today, you've got to have clear infection control measures. So what you're doing to deal with the pandemic and what you plan on doing in the future after it's over or done, to make sure that you're keeping up to those standards. And technology. Patients are really interested in the latest dental tech. They want to see what you've invested into your practice from a technological standpoint. They like to know that you can do a CT scan, that you can design and mill a crown while they wait. They like to know that you can diagnose and treatment plan and surgically place their implants. They want to know what teeth whitening systems you have in the office, that they're not going to have to take home trays and stuff like that. They can have it done if that's the case. So those are all things that we see people are asking us for and that they want in their websites as they redesign them, because there's a lot of old dental websites out there, and people are going towards redesigning them, or people are going towards creating brand new websites as they acquire practices, or people are starting up new offices and things like that. So that's, for the most part, I think what we're seeing, and what people expect to find on a dental site.
How important, Mark, would you say that having video on your website is when it comes to like the scientific algorithm aspect of it, or just people are more engaged with video versus a photo?
Both. So, when I do video, we like to have that video live on YouTube. We like to embed that video into the website. We want to give that video a chance to index, possibly as its own result on the search engines when people are doing a search for a dentist. So if you can imagine doing a search for, dentist near me, and you happen to have some video thumbnails come up on the search engines, and it happens to be a testimonial for a dental office that's not too far away from the house. There's a common misconception with my clients that they need to shut their offices down for a day and hire a professional video crew. And although that's worth doing if you can, having just video shot on your iPhone, which shoots in 4K, 5K these days, hold it in the right orientation, make sure it's steady, that's real, right? And patients are able to see other patients have real reactions to the dentistry that they've had. And a lot of times it's life-changing dentistry. It's grassroots. People can connect with it far better than they can with anything that they're going to read. Photos are great, but people typically don't read pages and pages of content, but they like to see what you did for someone else who's in my same situation or a similar situation. So, do the video. It doesn't take long, and I tell my clients, just shoot the video and text it to me. You're done, right? I'll edit it. I'll put your watermark on there. We'll load it up for you. We'll do the transcript. I just try to make it really easy for them to just give me that type of stuff, because it really is important. So.
Ooh, awesome. Such good stuff. And I think this is a really good segue for Jenna, because there was a question she had submitted as well about how do you communicate, or how do you showcase what a doctor does at the practice? Like Mark touched on that with shoot a video, we can throw it on in YouTube, we can put it on the website. When it comes to social media, what's your approach?
So kind of like Mark said earlier, like the market is just it's so saturated, especially digitally. And you really have to take time to figure out how to stand out. And that's kind of where I come in to help figure out how I can make the client stand out. So, a technique that we've been really kicking back and forth is just using TikTok and recreating those TikTok into Reels, and having the dentist at the practice talk about different, techniques that they use, whether that's, dental cleaning, like whatever it is, they're giving like Tuesday tips. So we have to come up with like really fun categories throughout the week and be super consistent about what we're posting when, and looking at the statistics. And, that's kind of where the content starts to diversify itself a little bit, when you create those specific categories in a content calendar and you're consistently posting, very similar, categories on Tuesdays or on Thursdays or on Fridays or on Sundays about, Tuesday tips about teeth, or, hump day facts about where whitening came from, just certain things, or, Fridays before and after, we're doing before and after Fridays. That will help kind of break you into diversifying yourself across social media channels, if that helps.
And I think, yeah, it definitely does. And I think, again, I'm thinking I have my, like, I'm a dentist and this seems like a lot of work sort of hat on about, okay, well, if you shoot the video on TikTok, the good news is you can repurpose that video, right, Mark? You can put it on YouTube, you can put it on your website, you can put it on Facebook. So you shoot it once, but it can be repurposed in many different places to fit all the different demographics. I think even Google allows you to have a video, what max is like 30 seconds or something like that on your profile, if I'm not
On
mistaken.
your GMB, on the Google My Business listing?
Yes,
We can do links to videos. Yeah.
links to
Yeah,
videos.
and you can link up your YouTube channel to it. So yeah, and there's lots of different things that you can do with it. And a lot of times it's not even the doctor, him or herself, that's doing it. They're just going to put a task, say, hey, we need 2 videos this week. We got to make it happen, right? We keep it realistic, and it does happen. So, oftentimes it's a treatment coordinator or, someone at the front desk that'll ask someone to, hey, do you mind taking a minute? And patients are more than happy and more than willing to do it. You gotta sign a release form, but they're happy to do it.
Yes, definitely. That release form is important. All right. Do you have a question for Bobby Jack, Joanne?
Yeah, I just had a question though about the release form. Is that something that you guys will provide to the dental practices so that it's just really easy and streamlined for them to hand it over to a patient before they take a video?
Yeah. Oh,
You're muted, Bobby.
Oh, we don't do any like the video content like that. Like for in terms of the more personalized touch, I always recommend Jenna because we don't do Instagram, and for
Mhm.
it's like Mark talked about, it's more like that how to brush your teeth and how to floss content.
Mhm.
And I tell doctors, like, if you want to invest, you have to invest. The 10 people following you on Facebook, your friends and your family, that's not going to move the needle in terms of a return investment. So we really don't focus on that as the core. So anyone that wants to put in that effort and that capitalization investment into social media strategy and the videos and those forms, I refer to Jenna. So she would have a better understanding of that aspect.
Okay, great. And Mark, you said you did, right?
Yeah,
He has a whole team. He's got an
Yeah.
entourage. That's how
Yeah.
Mark rolls.
I'll send them a sample form that they can use, and they just need to have the client fill in the blanks and sign it. It's very simple. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm sorry, I lost where we're at. Jenna, Bobby.
So stimulating. I mean, we've got some really great questions in here that, don't pertain to marketing, but it's you.
I know. So yeah, so what I want to question a little off the cuff, like what is the favorite thing that you love about your jobs? I mean, you're in marketing in the dental industry. Like what is it that gets you jazzed up in the morning? I'll ask each person this. Anyone can
I'll start.
Okay.
I mean, I've been doing this for 14 years. I work exclusively in dental. I mean, I have a handful of clients that are not dentists, some attorneys, a med spa, but those were direct referrals from one of my dental clients. Every day is different. I know that I make an impact, not only for the dental offices, for their bottom lines and for their revenue and bringing them the types of patients that they want to treat, but I know ultimately the end user is that patient. So we're making a difference for these people that are looking for the right dentist for that right procedure that they've been wanting to have done for a long time. I love, and I still love, and it's slowly starting to come back into play, the travel aspect and the social aspect. I'm the director of marketing for the MISH Implant Institute, which is an implant continuing education program that's been around for 37 years. And I do 12 or 15 meetings a year with them. So I love meeting new doctors and getting to work with new practices. And a lot of what we do is untangling and cleaning up, right? Years and years of, bad internet strategies and practices that have worked with multiple firms over the course of their careers. And it's all very patchwork. So we'll go in there and we'll really just clean it all up and make it work for them. And, we gain their trust by having done that. And, it's just a good business to be in. It's a great career. It's been very, rewarding for us. and, you know, and I'm lucky to be a part of it. So,
That's great.
yeah.
Bobby.
For me, I've always been in healthcare. I love it. There's just something about it that there's so many daily challenges, there's so many ways to innovate, and healthcare in general hasn't really been an adopter of technology. Even on the medical side, like the government pushed laws like the meaningful use, where they pay practices to upgrade their practice management systems and their electronic medical systems to try and get adopted. COVID has actually pushed patient healthcare practices and dental practices more to adopt teledentistry and made things a lot easier for patients, where they really didn't consider the consumer experience and mobile applications and online booking and how important reviews are. And there's been so much private equity money flying in through medical and dental over the past 2 or 3 years, which verifies the fact that how important and underserved this community is in healthcare and dental in terms of technology, and how much opportunity there is for growth, from all these growing DSOs to Hello Tended Smile Direct Club to Aspen Dental growing their market share from the Midwest to California and New Jersey. There's just so many different challenges, and it's becoming more and more specialized, and these type of multi-specialty practices leaves so much room for growth and insight and ingenuity. Like, no dentist was doing TikTok or Instagram 2 or 3 years ago. No one was doing teledentistry. Online scheduling was a thing of the past. I helped build out ZocDoc, which has started that platform, and now you see 1 million new companies launching into the marketplace every single year.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I use ZocDoc. That was like back to like, hey, I have this insurance, but like who takes it? Like ZocDoc was great for that.
It's just like Bobby said, it almost seems like every week I run across a new dental marketing company that didn't exist, you know, a few weeks ago, or one that I never heard of before. So it's growing very rapidly, and you know, the competition is not a bad thing. I mean, you know, you make your clients happy, you do the right thing, do what you say you're going to do, and you know, those are the basics of building good business. So
Absolutely.
Awesome. And
Jenna.
Jenna, what gets you jazzed up about
What's-
getting up in the morning?
What gets me up in the morning is usually my dog. And then after that, a million client calls. No, so, you know, every day is different. And, you know, I have an excess of clients, so not just dentistry. I have a couple of fertility doctors that I work with. I have a couple of wellness, like skincare and wellness clients that I work with, hospitality and food companies. So I'm kind of all over the map, which is the most exciting part about what I do. And that's really what gets me up, and, you know, learning about each industry and, you know, working with these clients and kind of diversifying my portfolio as well. And it's exciting to work with so many interesting people who are, you know, intelligent and so excited about what they do. So that's what overall just gets me going.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you guys for sharing that. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'd love to open it up for questions because we've got about 12 minutes left. So I wanted to give our attendees a chance to ask some of their inquiring mind questions around their own marketing, perhaps.
Yes, now's the time. If not, I have backup questions.
Anybody?
One thing, while you guys are thinking about your questions, so one thing, Mark, you touched a lot on Google, which I think is great. It's super important, right? But how can these offices really leverage Google Maps for the new patient acquisition? That's what we hear all the time from our clients. We need new patients. We need new patients. How do we get new patients?
Sure.
And we have our own philosophy on that and
Right.
maximizing each patient. But how do you really leverage Google Maps in regards to new patients?
So that's an oftentimes neglected area of someone's marketing. They're always so focused on their social media and their websites, and they know that they have a Google listing that represents the practice. A lot of times they don't realize that there's multiple listings that are floating around there, and they were unaware of a duplicate listing. So what we do is we'll go out there and we'll find any and all Google listings that represent the practice. We'll get them merged and we'll get them consolidated. But people think that as long as you've got your name and your address and your phone number and your website and your hours of operation, you've got a filled out Google listing. After all, that is exactly where people are going to go and write those reviews. So any of the reviews that you'll see for the office live on that Google listing. But a lot of people don't know that there's a ton of information that you can input into your listing. So if you were to log into the listing, you'll see areas where you can put in the services that you offer. You can write descriptions on each individual procedure that you perform. You can put all of the insurance networks that you're in, or the insurance companies that you're in network with, right? So this goes back to our original, like, what happens if I do a search for, Aetna, or, whatever the case may be, your Google listing will pop up because it mentions on it that you take that. There's a list called areas of service. So you can type in the zip codes and as specific as the geographic indicators. So literally the latitude and longitude of these areas that you see patients from. So when people are doing searches on their mobile devices for these dental terms, what's going to show up at the very top is a Google map, regardless of what you're searching for. And in that Google map, Google will only feature 3 practices. All the rest of them are on a drop-down menu. So being able to get found as one of the top 3 local dentists in the area, and being able to show, even in there, you can put your specials, right? You can put your promotions. You can post weekly social media style posts about whatever it is that you want to highlight for your practice. So there's a ton of information you can put into that listing, and it's prime real estate. And it's not going to cost you anything on a per click basis. So again, why not leverage it, right? There's a huge opportunity to use that as another way to get found in your area for those searches. So it's certainly something that we pay a ton of attention to, and one of the first things that we iron out when we first start working with a new practice.
Beef up your Google listing.
Yeah, and you can do it yourself. You'll find the Gmail account that's attached to that listing. You log into it. You go to the My Business tab in those little icons that you have up there, and it'll take you right to it, and you can just click away and just start filling it in. It's not difficult. It just takes time. So
takes time.
Yeah.
Oh, so many good little nuggets today, you guys, from all this information. I mean, it really is a vast whole that's never ending. So a couple other things before we wrap up. We've got about 8 minutes. So if anybody has something in particular to their unique practice that they want to ask about, or if maybe they're on the fence of thinking about investing in more time in Instagram or LinkedIn, even, we didn't really touch on that one too much, but definitely a platform for having a presence there as well. I guess it's really touching on people who, quite a wide audience for the most part. And I know, Jenna, this is what you really specialize in. And how do you really target and communicate with a wider audience of people versus getting to know them very specifically and your specific niche of people?
Sorry, guys, I'm in the middle of checking into my flight. I'm so sorry. I wanted to just quickly say that thank you guys so much for reaching out to me and having me a part of this panel. I really appreciate it. The police are waiting for me to check in. So I'll be online for the next few hours. Anyone, feel free to email me if you have any questions. My email is info@jennaconnects with an S at the end.com. You can feel free to check out my website as well. And, feel free to, email me with any questions. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks, Jenna. I'm sure we'll be looking out for an Instagram tropical getaway photo. So
I just wanted to add one thing, because if you're a dentist or you work at a dental practice and you're like, oh my God, we spend money on so much stuff, just don't have the money for all this marketing. It sounds, so expensive. From the Fortune management side, we always help people out with their benchmarks, right? So we look at all the financials and we look at the benchmarks. So the benchmarks for marketing are around 3 to 4% of your total. So that's not really huge, right? And then the more that you are producing and collecting, well, the higher you can go on that 3 to 4%. So it shouldn't be overwhelming for your practice. And there's a lot that you can do with that 3 to 4% of all the things that we talked about today.
And Joanne, one line that I'm actually gonna steal from one of my bigger practices, one of the dentists told me this was, my marketing budget is unlimited, he said. He goes, if I spend 100,000, it brings me 150, that's a good investment. But if I spend 10 or 20 and try and skimp on it, and it doesn't bring me back any return on my investment, was completely a bomb, I lost more on the tiny investment than what I gained on a bigger investment doing it properly and correctly.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's a big one. This is definitely that category of investment. We talked a lot about that at Fortune. And where is it going to propel you moving forward? How is this going to benefit your practice moving forward? So thank you for that. And then I'm putting all of everybody's information in down in the chat. So
Yeah.
we've got Mark's information in there. You can find him at mark@nowmediagroup.tv and www.nowmediagroup.com. Mark, did you want to add in one more thing that we mentioned earlier?
Yeah, we did
those
mention,
watching?
anyone that's watching this now or in the future, what we do is we will actually perform a complete evaluation of both your actual website itself and your entire online presence. I mean, we'll go through everything, and we'll deliver those reports to you. So if anyone that's interested in having us run an audit on the website, just say the word. We'll go ahead and get that over to you. It's something that you can review with me, or you can review it with your existing marketing company if you choose to. There's a lot of great information in there. So if anybody's interested in that, just shoot me an email and I'll get it over to you. No problem.
Awesome. I just put a link in there. If you guys are thinking about, I don't know if I have the budget, can someone help me? I don't really look at my finances that much. There's a link to my calendar, and Miranda and I are happy. Either one of us will jump on a quick call with you, take a look at your financials and help you out there, because we don't want you to miss out on some great marketing for your practice. You can grow your practice.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we're finishing 3 minutes early. We love it when that happens. We're giving 3 extra minutes back to your evenings and afternoons for those that are in California. And we really appreciate everyone being here today. And all the information is in the chat. This is being recorded, so you will also get the replay. So if you're a replay watcher, what's up, replay watchers? We love you. And we thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you
Thanks,
for having me.
everyone.
Have a great evening.
Bye.